sent me an email through our website. He said, his name was Casey. He said he was a Roman Catholic. He was a Roman Catholic. And he said he had been doing a lot of studying, both from our website and from the website of Mark Downey. He said he read practically every sermon that Mark Downey ever preached. He wants to come to our church. Now, our church is different than most churches. We do not have a sign. You could find our church if you wanted to. We used to have a sign. We learned our lesson. You don't want to get the news. So we are as inconspicuous as possible. And you know, Pastor Ramsey brought a message a while back, a long time ago, about the early church, and he said something like this. I believe he said this, that the early church did not accept everybody who came. We don't either. And he said he got from what Mark wrote that there probably has to be an interview. I ought to make sure he's this way. I ought to make sure he's coming for the right reason. So I'll meet him Wednesday. And I'm sure he knows why. But we just don't broadcast everything. And I want to let you know too that the reason I'm here, when Pastor Everett Ramsey asked us, I guess 3 or 4 months ago, I asked the church. I said, Pastor Ramsey's going to have a conference. It's the first conference in many a year. I think it's great. I would like to go. Well, the church voted down for me to go. If they would have said, we don't want you to go, I wouldn't go. And then last Sunday, I had the men raise their hands on me. Hey, I'm a nobody. I'm a sinner just like you are. But God calls us. He calls us for a certain job. And your lives are amazing. I've talked to some of you people. It's amazing what you people have gone through. I don't know if I could stand going through what you went through. It's amazing. And I found out one guy was born in Germany and was adopted. It's incredible. It's absolutely, it's amazing. So I come here under the authority of the Fellowship of God's Covenant People. And I think I failed to give our web address last night. If you want to, you can read every sermon. You can read it and you can listen to it at the same time. I guess it goes back 5 or 6 years. And the lady back there is the one who puts it all up on her website. It's www.fgcp, Fellowship of God's Covenant People.org. And you can read every sermon we ever give. We put it up, we write it in its has a speaker. Well, Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 8 through 18. It's a little bit long, but I'm going to read it. Because I'm going through the book of Deuteronomy in my study. So Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 8 through 18 begins, Thou shalt not make thee any carved image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters beneath the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself unto them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the 3rd and 4th generation of them who hate me. Oh, 3 or 4 generations. That's what the time was. Seems like it's been on, how many generations has it been? And showing mercy unto thousands of them who love me and keep my commandments. You know the Roman Catholics do not have this as one of their commandments. They don't have it. They worship idols. It's not in there. The next one is the second commandment. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. It's our third commandment. For the Lord will not hold him guiltless who taketh his name in vain. Keep the Sabbath day to sanctify it, as the Lord thy God hath commanded thee. 6 days thou shalt labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy ox, nor thy ass, nor any of thy cattle, nor thy stranger who is within thy gates, that thy manservant and thy maidservant may rest as well as thou. Our people are exhausted. Everything's open 24 hours. Even machines get tired. One jet airplane, you couldn't even see the crack in the thing. The thing blew up, hit the window. And the lady, they had it pulled. The lady was going out the window. They had to hold on to her. She eventually died. I mean, you got to have rest. And remember that thou was a servant in the land of Egypt. We were servants. And that the Lord thy God brought thee out there through a mighty hand and by an outstretched arm. Therefore the Lord thy God commanded thee to keep the Sabbath day. Honor thy father and thy mother, as the Lord thy God hath commanded thee, that thy days may be prolonged, and that it may go well with thee in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill or murder, thou shalt not commit adultery. I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to go back and I'm going to tell you a story about the founding fathers that maybe you never thought about. Judah, who was one of the 12 covenant sons of Jacob, was about 15 years old. He took the daughter of Shua of the race of the Canaanites to be his wife. Hey, Judah, that's one of our founding fathers. He married a Canaanite. She was descended from the murderer, okay? He married her. Yes. And he had 3 sons with her. 3. They were 3 mongrel sons that were forbidden to enter the congregation of Israel. What's it? Their names were who was named by Judah, Onan, who was named by his Canaanite wife, and Shelah, who was also named by his Canaanite wife. Judah had broken God's 7th commandment, to not commit adultery, holy seed with an unholy seed. To make matters worse, Judah got a pure Israelite woman, Tamar, to be the bride of his first mongrel son. The book of Jasher says that Tamar was the daughter of Elam, who was the son of Shem. Judah probably lied. I don't know. He probably lied to Elam about his wife, or Elam wouldn't have given her to be his wife. Was about 15 years old, Judah about 30 or 31, when the two were brought together for marriage. Of the founding fathers. But was wicked in the sight of the Lord, because he would not consummate his marriage with Tamar. Therefore, the Lord swore. God would kill people. So died childless, and Tamar was a widower. So according to the law of God given to Israel, Judah took his second mongrel son, Onan, to be a wife to Tamar. The second marriage was to provide a seed for his dead brother But Onan failed in this assignment as he spilled his seed on the ground during his relationship with Tamar. Onan did not want to give seed to his brother. Therefore, the Lord slew him for his evil. But Judah's first two sons were killed by God. Tamar, for the second time, was a widower. So Tamar had two opportunities to have children, but they were both failures. For whatever reason, her former husbands did not fulfill their responsibilities. There was no consummation in any way of the two previous marriages. Therefore, he wasn't really married. Both the first two mongrel sons of Judah were killed by Yahweh. Now we'll stop right here and make a little comment. This is one error of the approval of same-sex marriages. How could these marriages ever produce children? If a man's with a man, how's that going to produce children? If a woman's with a woman, how's that going to produce children? Obviously they can't. If these marriages have children, they must be adopted. They are unable to produce any children on their own. This is one reason why our God forbid these marriages. Well, back to my story. Judah then told the widower Tamar to go home to her father Edom's house and wait until this third mongrel son, Shelah, got old enough to marry her. It'd be a couple of years wait until he got old enough to be her husband. But I would figure that Judah was scared that Shelah would act the same way his two older brothers acted, and the Lord would kill him too. Anyway, after a couple of years, Judah's Canaanite wife solved his problem. What she did? She picked out a wife for him. She picked out a Canaanite woman to be Shelah's wife. You can find that in the Testament of Judah, chapter 2, verse 19. And shortly after she arranged the marriage of Shelah, the Canaanite wife of Judah died. Soon Shelah, his Canaanite wife, had children. Their offspring became part of the mixed multitude that traveled with Israel. They were part of the population that could not hear the words of the Lord. They could not hear the words of the Lord. And you can see Jesus Christ telling these same people, John chapter 8, verse 43, you cannot hear my word. If they can't hear the word, where are they going? These people are going to hell. Hellfire. Frustration. The offspring of Shelah was not the offspring of the pure lineage of Jacob Israel. They were forbidden to enter the congregation of Israel. That was true back then. Is it true now? If your church got open doors, anybody could come in there. That's what happens. Everybody's welcome. No, sir, buddy. It's an Israelite church. They may sneak in, but once you find out who they are, you get them out of there. Well, Judah was a single person once again after his wife's death, and Tamar was a double widower. Tamar, in the belief that her father-in-law Judah would marry for a second time another woman of Canaan, she determined to remedy the racial descent problem in her own verse. A relative of the Jacob household and aware of necessities for racial purity. In that house, Tamar embarked upon a course that would prevent Judah's immediate descendants from being other than Hebrew. And this racial integrity was a very self-sacrificing course. You put yourself in her shoes. My goodness. If you think about the situation, Tamar, because her two previous hybrid husbands did not consummate the marriage, was still a virgin. And because they did this, Tamar was her father-in-law in name only. Judah was a single eligible widower. Judah's tribe was about to be extinct from racially pure Israel. Not true. There'd be no tribe of Judah. Tamar is more righteous than I, is what Judah would exclaim after the incident of her seducing him became very clear. She's more righteous. At this point in her life, when Tamar had not been given to Shelah to be his wife, she realized she had no future without Judah's children to carry on his kingly line. Nevertheless, she was just as happy not to have children by any of these half-breed Canaanites. Tamar, no doubt, breathed a sigh of relief when Shelah, his last half-breed son of Judah, was married off by his mother to his own king. But now that was all over. If she were going to act, it would have to be now or never. At this point, there was only one way that Judah could live up to his promise. And that would be if Judah himself were to father Tamar's children. He would in that way act in accordance with the law that God had given their fathers and them. Now she considered if she were to have children by Judah, it would be in accordance with the law, since they were both pure-blooded, eligible spouses for marriage. And the most important thing, their offspring would be a pure blood. Thus Tamar very quickly embarked upon a very dangerous plan of action. For if her bold plan didn't work, Tamar was a dead sort of daughter-in-law. How would you like to face being burned at the stake? This took a woman with real guts to take the action that she did. Tamar was no ordinary woman. Let me ask you a question. Where are today's Tamars, whose only main purpose in life is to beget and rear children of their own kind? Where are the daughters of Israel, whose only purpose is to guide the home of her husband and their pure-blooded children? Who are the women who want to carry on this God-honoring tradition? Today's women have bought into the feminism tradition. Have a career first. You know, there's more women that go to college now than men. There are. Put off marriage until you're older. Abort any fetus if it causes a problem for you. Hyphenate your marriage name. Keep fighting the front lines. Etc., etc., etc. God didn't say the woman couldn't do it. He says they were not allowed to do it. Judah fulfilled the consummation. He was the only one who was eligible to do this, and it produced twin sons, Perez and Zerah, the ancestors of Jesus the Christ. The twin sons were considered the first and second sons of Judah because they were his only children who were part of Israel's covenant lineage. The tribe of Judah was spared from extinction and carried on as the tribes of royalty through his twins. Judah's mongrel grandchildren and their descendants through Shelah became the owners of practically a monopoly over the linen and pottery industries. Oh, not all Israel is this. During the same time of Israel's history, Judah was the one who convinced his 10 brothers. This family was really dysfunctional. Convinced his 10 brothers not to kill Joseph, but to sell him instead to Midian travelers for pieces of silver. Why family wasn't that bad. And years later, Judah became a surety for his half-brother Benjamin to his father Jacob Israel. What a miraculous story. Well, I told you about Sheila, about Judah and Sheila. Not a very good story. There's a lesson there. Now I'm going to talk about our country. I'm going to talk about Jewish America. Well, how about that story about Judah? Well, do you know that both presidential candidates in our last election had daughters who were married to very, very wealthy Jewish men whose fathers had been in jail for stealing funds through fraud and a list of other crimes? They also were guilty of many sexual relationships, but they were not sent to jail for these immoral crimes. Both prominent daughters of each political candidate of both the Republican and the Democratic parties married men who were part of the Jewish mafia. You pay the price if you mess with them. You ask Chris Christie about that. And I don't think that Trump and Clinton are pure Israelites because they're tainted with the blood of the serpent themselves. What a choice America has. Would it have made a difference if Hillary had defeated Trump? Or I'll put it another way. Levinsky had defeated Kushner. Well, we'll talk about Russian meddling with the election. What about the Ashkenazi Jews meddling? They won in our election no matter what candidate became victorious. Was it Clinton versus Trump or Levinsky versus Kushner? And do you think Trump will succeed in making America great again? No. Why was America great? America was only great when it kept its laws of its Christian or Israelite God. And who is Trump's choice as his aide for religious matters? Who is his choice to be his pastor and guide to help Christians get the correct laws passed? Who do you think he chose of all the pastors in America? Everett, did he call you? He didn't choose that? Did he call you, Dave? Not yet. Did he call you, Blanchard? Did he answer the phone? She even gave the prayer at his inauguration. It was the three-time married, scandal-ridden pastor of the Prosperity Gospel, Paula White-Kane. That's his pastor. And that's who he appointed to be on his cabinet. She meets with him once a week. She prays with him. I want to talk to you a little bit about her. Her third husband is a member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is in Cleveland, Ohio. But her third husband, Jonathan Leonard Kane, does not use his real name. He changed his name to Kane to be used as a stage name, but his real name is Jonathan Leonard Freeback. But Paula uses his stage name as the last part of her last name, hyphenated between the last two names of her last two husbands. Her third husband is worth about $30 million. He and Paula live in a home valued at being worth over $1 million. Paula still lives in a $65 million condo in, where? Trump Towers. Oh, Trump Towers. Jonathan's father put him in Catholic schools. No doubt, if you search his family tree, there will be a Jew or Jews in it. And why would he pick the name of Cain? Of all the names in the world, why would you pick C-A-I-N? And why would Paula use the hyphenated words white Cain, white hyphen Cain, as her last name? It makes a mockery of the true gospel, doesn't it? White hyphen Cain? It's the interracial marriage of the sons of the covenant, the white race with the seed of the serpent, Cain the mongrel. Exactly what happened between Judah and his Canaanite wife. It produces mongrel children who are forbidden to enter the congregation of Israel. It's the God of the Jewish communists. It's the goal of the Jewish communists to breed out the white race. If they are successful, all white people will be mid-brown. There'll be no white people left, and there'll be no more white supremacy. Oh, really? There'll be no people for God to be the God of. That's why it's all the white. Oh, that's why the YWCA wants to eliminate racism. That's why the Southern Baptists say, oh, we have been preaching the gospel of the devils up to 1995, and now it is the gospel of racial reconciliation. It is Paula's third husband with a sexual fling with big-time evangelist Benny Hinn at the Vatican. Well, Benny was still married, thrown in. Benny Hinn confessed this to the church. It's not made up. The photographer took a picture of him holding hands, walking down the street. And it's Jonathan's third wife. And he said that God told him to divorce his second wife and abandon their children after he met Paula on an airplane while he was still there. But there's more. Can you believe there's more to this story? Paula took over her mostly black church from the black husband and wife team, the Tims, T-I-M-S, after the husband overdosed and died on cocaine heroin. Paula won in a bitter battle with his wife Reba Tims over who would get to pasture the church. One reason Paula won the battle with Reba was that Paula has as her spiritual father you might know her spiritual father. The popular black preacher, T.D. Jakes. The second reason was that Paula and her second husband, Randy White, built one of the fastest growing churches in the country that was very, very, very multicultural. After she got divorced from her first husband, she was a janitor. And Randy White had a divorce. He came to the church. They met. After her divorce from Randy, the mega church in Tampa, Florida, went bankrupt and eventually was bulldozed down and destroyed. Paula needed another church. That was one of the reasons for her to latch on to the church is just about 20 miles away from Tampa. And there's more. The son of her first marriage, Bradley Knight, is now co-pastor at the same church she pastors and preaches when she is not at the church. This is mainly when she is in Washington, D.C., meeting with President Trump. He preached along with his wife, Rachel Knight. Did you get all that? And that's only part of it. What chance would a Christian identity believer receive at the hands of a Baal preacher such as this president's spiritual advisor? Why does she think there were no women who were preachers in almost 1,900 years of the church? Not a job for anyone. It was part of their punishment they received in the garden. So what God called her to preach? So we had Judah marrying a Canaanite, all those problems. And Tamar, Tamar is a hero of our faith. She saved the tribe of Judah. Maybe some of you were descended from her. Then we got the President of the United States and the loser, Hillary. Both their daughters married sons whose fathers were in jail. In jail. They're mafia guys. The media didn't tell you that. And then Trump saw her on TV and he called her up and made her, they talked and he had her up for Bible studies. He made her head religious leader of his cabinet. Now I'm going to talk about when Jews controlled the Promised Land. The Jews controlled the land where the remnant of Judah lived during the first advent of Israel's Savior. Jesus even had to flee Egypt for a little while and then had to live in Galilee. Because of the evilness of the Canaanite, Edomite Jews. Jesus knew exactly who they were. He gave one of the most devastating sermons when he pronounced almost 24 woes on the Pharisees and the Sadducees. He also went into the house of his father and overturned the tables of the money changers. Who were the money changers who had made his father's house a den of thieves? Canaanite Edomite Jews. In John chapter 7, verse 1, it says, after this thing, Jesus walked in Galilee, for he would not walk in Jewry because the Jews sought to slay him. He wouldn't live in Judea. He lived in Galilee. Nazareth, the city that he lived in Galilee is up in Galilee. He lived in Galilee, not in Judea. Did it say the blacks were plotting the murder of Jesus? Did it say the Orientals? No. Did it say the Pacific Islanders? The Incas? The Aztecs? Hey, there's one group of people that I hate. That's the people who hate my Savior. Who hate us and want us destroyed. God put that in me, and He put it in them. They hate us, but Christendom, they love them. The following information is taken from the book Kingdom Parables by Pastor Everett Grant. What a great book. I'm telling you, it's a fantastic. If you don't have that book, you should have it. You should read it. Because the parables, Jesus spoke in parables, not for everyone to understand it, because there's a mixed multitude. He spoke so they couldn't understand it. Then he went and told his people what he was talking about. In the parable about the husbandman, our Savior took the kingdom back from these foul, hate-filled offspring of the serpent and gave it to a nation bringing forth the fruits of the kingdom. I'll read you 3 verses, Matthew 21, 43, 45, and 46. Therefore say I unto you, the kingdom shall be taken from you. Now who's you? I find the book of pronouns. It's the Canaanite Edomite Jews. And given to a nation. If we took it from them, who did he give it to? The house of Israel. Bringing forth the fruits of it. And when the chief priests and Pharisees, who were the Canaanite Edomite Jews, had heard his parables, they perceived that he spoke of them. But when they sought to lay hands on him to kill him, they feared the multitude because they regarded him as the prophet. You gave a verse like that today. They tried many times to kill him, but they feared the people. Oh, I don't know how much fear they have of us. The difference between a nation and a country is genetics. Many countries made up the nation of Israel in the time of Jesus' dwelling on earth. It was like New York City. You had probably more percentage-wise Jews then than you do now. The Jews failed as stewards of the kingdom. They slew the son and the heir with the intention of seizing the kingdom for themselves. And they were miserably destroyed in 70 A.D. as their capital city was destroyed with fire. A new steward was to be appointed, and the new steward is a nation that had been set aside and rejected. It was to become prominent in charge of the kingdom and the leading or head nation in it. The new nation which Jesus referred to was the house of Israel, which had for a long time been set aside and rejected because of their idolatry. Which the Roman Catholics don't even say this. But to whom our Lord was especially set for the national redemption and restoration. This invincible, powerful nation, placed in charge of the kingdom of God in succession to the house of Judah, was to be a nation brought out of obscurity, restored from a condition of rejection to one of prominence. In other words, the lost nation of Israel brought out of its hiding and captivity to be the powerful Christian Israel nations of today. Since the Lord expounded this parable, the house of Judah was shattered, and the people of God moved Israel to the west, to the north. They now made up many countries in Europe, North America, and the island countries around the world. Now let's come up to modern times. Who started World War II? Who was the first people to declare war?
Jews against Germany in 1933.
Exactly right. I went to school, college, I never knew that.
We didn't hear it. We didn't.
I'll tell you. It's important. But I found this out a couple years ago. I said, what in the world? I am amazed. The house of Judah was once again almost totally, permanently shattered when the Ashkenazi Sephardic Edomite Jews went and declared war on Germany, modern-day Judah, on March 24th, 1933. The American Jewish Congress announced a massive protest at Madison Square Gardens for March 27th, 1933, 3 days later. At that time, the commander-in-chief of the Jewish war veterans called for American boycott of German goods. In the meantime, on March 23rd, 20,000 Jews protested at New York City Hall as rallies were staged outside the North German Lloyd and Hamburg American shipping lines, and boycotts were mounted against German goods throughout shops and businesses in New York City. And if I had the projector, I would show you the newspaper article whose headline says, Judea declares war on Germany. And there's all kinds, hundreds of newspapers that carried the headline. The paper I copied was the Daily Express of London. And I'll read you 4 of the headlines from that paper. Judea declares war on Germany. Hey, Germany hadn't done anything to the Jews in 1933. Jews of all the world unite in action. Boycott of German goods. And mass demonstrations in many districts. The article described a holy war and went on to implore Jews everywhere to boycott German goods and engage in mass demonstrations against German economic interests. Now, I'll read you a little bit of the article on the front page of this newspaper, 1933. Quote, the whole of Israel, meaning the Jews, throughout the world is uniting to declare an economic and financial war on Germany. The appearance of the swastika as the symbol of the new Germany has revived the old war symbol of Judah to a new life. 14 million Jews scattered over the entire world are tied to each other as if one man. What? Did you get that? Wait. How many Jews in the world? And they say 10 years later, 6 million were killed in the gas chambers at Auschwitz. That would leave 8. And there were people who were machine gunned down and war, bombs and everything else. And there were quite a few people who left. There'd be no people left in, no Jews left in Europe. All right? I'm a bad teacher. I can subtract. Quite simple here. The Jewish wholesaler will quit his house, the banker his stock exchange, the merchant his business, and the beggar his humble hut in order to join the holy war against Hitler's people. We talk about a press that is not very honest. I was born in 1942. This happened 10 years before my time. I know nothing about this. The press lied to me. They keep it a secret. Well, they do everything. They keep everything a secret. If the Jews declared 6 years before Germany attacked Poland a holy war, I would call it an unholy war, against the German people, and there's a guy here who was born in Germany. He's our brother. Which side would you be on? You be on the ungodly Jews who say that Jesus was the mongrel offspring of a Roman soldier and the prostitute Mary, who's now in hell boiling in a hot pot of semen? My goodness. I know people that say something about their mother and get their face busted in. They insulting our God. The blacks don't say that. The Muslims don't say that. The Muslims say Jesus Christ is the prophet of God. He wasn't the last prophet. Muhammad was. But they say he's a prophet of God. They say he is a mongrel. He's now in hell. Man, that's a difference. You on their side? Are you on the side of the children of God? Amen. 6 years later, 1939, Germany went on a rescue mission to save the Germans from the Jewish-Polish execution squads. They in Russia attacked Poland. Later did the same thing to save the Ukraine Germans. All these names are trained back up at the news. From the Jewish Soviet government, they attacked the Soviet Union. When the war ended, the United States continued fighting against the Germans. It was done in secret. More Germans, women, children, and the elderly, were killed by starvation. Thank you, Eisenhower. Execution and burning by bombing. When the war was over, the house of Israel is now being swallowed up in Jewish Talmudic laws. Race mixing and abortion are the two biggest Talmudic laws that the Israelites are believing in being tolerant. How many Jews were in Germany in World War II? 500,000. 500,000.
How many people know that half of the SS officers were all Jews?
How many Jews were in Poland? 3 million. So 6 million. With poison gas in the shower? Are you crazy? How'd they get him out of the shower? You have a volunteer to take him out of the shower? The gas is still there, isn't it? If it killed them, it'll kill you. You have to wear a gas mask. You know how heavy a dead person is to carry out?
They didn't come with handles.
My goodness, it would take a long. Oh, I won't go with that. Hosea chapter 4, verses 1 and 2, it says, Hear the word of the Lord. Ye children of Israel. Oh, you could have guessed that. Listen, Israel. Listen, Israel. For the Lord hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, no mercy, no knowledge of God in the land. That sounds pretty much like God. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out and blood touches blood. If the houses of Israel and Judah have abortion available, oh, that's it was 1973. They still can't get stuff. We killed our babies in the womb. We've killed more babies in the womb than we lost anymore. If that's still going on, and now race mixing is becoming a major factor. I read where 17% of people are racist. If that's being practiced in a major way, the sin for that, we're going to experience bloodshed domestically. Now, we've had mass shootings in schools and different things, and the students all got all riled up, and they said, We want to get rid of mass murders in public schools. What's their solution? We'll get rid of the guns. Get rid of the abortion. Get rid of interest charged on loans. Oh. Get rid of race mixing. That'll stop it. They didn't used to be mass shootings in school. Mass shootings in the moved house. Hey, God's not messing around. He's angry. The biblical consequences for shedding innocent blood and legal robbery includes more bloodshed, tyranny, invasion, and war. Well, one of our founding fathers, Judah, he wasn't so good, was he, in the beginning? But you know, he realized what Tamar had done. He was a young boy, got drunk, hooked up the wrong one. Hey, he repented and changed. Tamar is more righteous than I am. Had 2 sons. It's the kingly line. No one could be a king unless you're from that line. They're all the kings. Europe and the kings of Israel. We have 2 presidential candidates. Jeez. Both their daughters were married to sons of prisoners who cheated everybody out of money. Fraud. The mafia. They're mafia members. 2 mafias fighting each other. You want to be a member of Congress? Get to go to APEC, get all kinds of good money. You come out back a millionaire. My goodness. I don't want a lot of money. I don't want to win the lottery. I want to have just enough money to pay all my bills. And enough money to give to my brother who needs help. And what about what happened when I was born? I was born, the United States didn't fight World War II after a couple of years. And Germany never declared war in the United States. The United States go to war in Japan. If you declare war in Japan, you declare war in Germany. And Germany wasn't going to conquer the world. They didn't want to conquer the world. Who said they wanted to conquer the world? Who wants to conquer the world? The Jews. They want to conquer the world. And who's going to be their slaves? The Goyim. They get 2,000 Goyim apiece. My goodness. What's the solution? It doesn't matter how many people here. If there were 10 people here, God doesn't need them. God didn't need an Israelite to defeat the most powerful army. God's not going to let all his people commit interracial marriage. There'll be some of us left. We've got to keep his laws. It doesn't matter if we're the only people left in America to keep his laws. We keep them. We keep them. And God will save us from our enemies. And he will come and destroy every single one until our foot is on the footpost. Footstool. Right. Blessed be the Lord God of Israel.